One of the challenges I'm going to give you is the challenge of coming up with a compelling goal that has clarity and is compelling to your people. And here's a motivator. This is an example of a business transaction in the wholesale distribution world where a distributor, MSC Industrial, a publicly held company, purchased the Barnes Distribution, a portion of another publicly held company, Barnes Group. And they made this acquisition last year, so this is still fairly current, a $300 million company. That operation had flat sales, by the way, for 3 years. Big company, but it was flat sales. Operating profit of about 10%, which is high, and also a $550 million sales price. Now, the investment bankers would look at most wholesale distributors and say, I could maybe sell your business for 30 or 40% of sales. That's the value of your company, depending on a lot of variables. But here's an example of a company that sold for almost double their sales to another distributor. And this is one of those rare cases where we get to see the details because they're both publicly held companies. So the reason behind this is a strategic reason. The strategy decisions that Barnes made, for one thing, was to focus on vendor-managed inventory. That's a strategy. They made a decision to invest heavily in Canada. They made a decision to focus on fasteners, which is typically a customer-specific type business. They made a decision to field a large sales force. They had 700 people in their sales force. The result of their strategy was they were able to generate high margins. That's how you get a $29.4 million profit before tax on $300 million of sales. And the important thing is here, there was very little overlap between the buyer and seller here. So MSC Industrial, a very smart company, of which our APIC friend Jonathan Burns is a member of their board of directors, that smart company paid a heck of a lot of money because the strategy of the seller fits so well with the buyer. And incidentally, Barnes Group's strategy was to focus on the aviation industry and not wholesale distribution. So the strategy decisions you make have a lot to do with the value of your company ultimately. And I do want to mention something about technology here, and that is as we've used technology to sort of make the transaction process homogeneous between buyers and sellers, trading partners now handle their commerce, their transactions between one another in a very impersonal way. As a result now, the relationships that we have with our customers become ever more important because for most of us distributors, customer intimacy is the thing that makes us different from our competitors. One of us versus another, and customer intimacy is all about relationships. It's no longer really about transactions as it once was. So